Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, pushing this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. I say shalom to you all, Akim out there. And this is a sit-down lesson through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Shai on this November the 2nd, 2022 at 3:28 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Wednesday afternoon. And this is a news article from CNBC.com, published by Samantha Subin and Tayana Makshi, if I pronounced that right. And this was updated on Wednesday, November the 2nd, 2022 at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads for In the News on November 2nd, 2022 from CNBC.com News regarding the markets, financial markets. And it reads, Dow Jones closes negative 500 points, which is 503 points in the negative bar. Lower Nasdaq sheds 3% as the Fed Chair Powell signals intent to continue hiking rates. The stock stumbled Wednesday after a Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said inflation was still too high, and indicating that central banks has more rate hiking ahead. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slid negative 505 points of 44% points, or it slid down to negative 1.55% to settle at 32,147.76 points, and the S&P 500 dropped negative 2.5% to close at 3,759.69 points, while the Nasdaq Composite dove negative 3.36% to finish at 10,524.80 points. The Feds implemented another 0.75% point rate increase Wednesday afternoon, as Powell said in a press conference that its inflation fight was far from done. We are still having some ways to go, and incoming data, since our last meeting suggested that the ultimate level of interest rate will be higher than the previous. He expected it. He said, I want to rephrase that. It says Powell added that it was premature to talk about pushing hikes. We have ways to go, says the central bank chair. Stocks initially rallied following the rate hike when the federal accompanying state hinted at a possible policy change in the future, and determine the pace of future increase in the target range. The committee will take into account circulating tightening of monetary policies lags with the monetary policies affecting economic activities and inflations. In economic financial developments, and statement reads, what traders hope were dashed by Powell's still tough talk on inflation. The tone of Federal Chair by Jay Powell's comments was quite hawkish, which means the Fed still have ways to go to fight inflation, and the level of interest rates will be higher. Right, because even if they've been mentioning it for the past couple of months, they were still trying to find ways to ease the inflation. They said it's going to be long ways to go, according to what he was saying. Even if it, uh, even if it put the economy in jeopardy, says Jake Milt, Mitri, manager at Brandywine Global. There was no hint of dovishness to indicate the Feds may be posed to pause. Consumer discretionary and information technology stocks were amongst the worst performers of the day. Both S&P 500 sectors shed more than 3%. Amazon, Netflix, Meta platforms tumbled nearly 5%. Tesla and Salesforce fell 5.6% and 6.1% respectively. The federal rates decision came after a release of strong jobs data with better than expected private polls data for October, painting the rate silence of labor market. The joint reports Tuesday also conveyed a tight job markets despite the Fed's aggressive of tightening clip. The Dow is coming off a record October rally near 14% for its best month since 1976. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq has gained about 8% and 3.9% respectively to a 2-month losing streak with Wednesday losses. The 30 stock index is down more than 11.5%, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are off by 21.1% and 32.7% respectively year to date. So yeah, you're gonna now this is a 2-day losing streak in the month of November. As I stated, I did a sit-down lesson on October 31st. I was like, let's see how the stocks and markets gonna react with a brand new whole month of November. If the streak is gonna continue to a up and down slope, as I mentioned before, of having a positive gain with the Wall Street or a losing streak gain. Now, for the past 2 or 3 days, the markets have a third-day losing streak so far this week, especially with the brand new whole month of November. As you have the Federal Reserves once again countlessly continuing having ongoing meetings, even though they have a good solid jobs reports and everything like that, etc. But their main focus they raise is which is going to expect it to happen, a rate height of a 0.75%. And I was looking at a news article not too long ago, about like a couple of hours ago, about 2 hours ago. They were saying since they made that announcement, the federal tax hike of a 0.75% of an interest rate, that might be a potential hint of the height of the rates to be smaller than expected. But I kind of think that still won't be able to help out the inflation to lower it down, because they said they got long ways to go. So that's going to affect the economy as well too. Even they said they put the economy in jeopardy, even though they got good solid gains of the job reports and other reports that's got a good solid gain. But even though you still got a higher consumer spending, higher inflation, higher gas prices gonna continue to rise and increase, especially in the month of we're already in fall, especially entering into winter, because everything is gonna consistently goes up, while they still trying to find ways to maneuver to ease the inflation while increasingly raising up the tax hike, So that's still gonna affect the economy, and it's still gonna raise inflation Now more than ever, and along with the consumer spending and the gas prices going to rise as well too. That's showing more complete signs of the economic downfall of Babylon the Great, because the markets, because the stocks and markets run off the with the economy as well too, because they put money into the economy, try to better the economy, try to ease the inflation, try to find ways to lower the gas prices, even though that's going up. Consumer spending is going up. Inflation is going to go up even more now so than ever. So that's another quick sign of Babylon's fall economically, because this is modern day Babylon. And this is the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51 and 8. Jeremiah 51 and 7, I believe. Salakia. This is Babylon modern day today, according to the Holy Scriptures. Jeremiah 51 and 7. Babylon have been a golden cup, and have made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Right? Because the reason why I say that, because, everybody blaming Joe Biden with the inflation. Now the inflation is affecting people globally, with the inflation, consumer spending, the gas prices. And then they blaming President Vladimir Putin with the Russia-Ukraine situation over the oil. And Joe Biden blaming Russia. Russia blaming the United States. So that shows you a clear sign of Edom. Edom is got division between each other, against one another, especially when it comes to economic, blaming each other on economics. Now the nations are mad at Babylon the Great for putting, for messing them up economically and financially with the inflation. Over there, Europe is gonna continue to increase at an all-time high. You got the inflations over there, 10.7. The inflation and higher consumer spending, which is gonna increase gas prices. Now these nations are mad at Babylon. They was part of that wrath. They was drunken off of the philosophies of Babylon, especially economically. Now they getting the taste of Babylon. Babylon modern day. That's why the nations are angry at the daughter of Babylon, especially financially. They blaming them for the inflation. They blaming them for the gas prices. They blaming them for the oil. They blaming them for the consumer spending. Not only is it affecting the United States, it's affecting globally as well too. As we entering fall already and winter, it's going to be according to forecast, financial expertise. I was reading an article says it's going to be a potential dark winter for those countries in Europe. Especially economically, with the inflation, the consumer spending, and gas prices as well too, going to be at all-time high. In Jeremiah 51 and 8, Babylon is Jeremiah 51 and 8, and it reads, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed spiritually. How for her, take bond for her, pain if so she may be healed, right? Because currently at the moment right now, even though, you might have a good solid jobs report and everything like that, but you still got, the economy is still being effective. Then you got warning signs of a potential recession. The diesel fuel, that's reports of that been coming out as well too. And the consumer spending, the high inflation, the high cost of living, the high gas prices, oil prices, you name it. And these nations been blaming the daughter of Babylon for these gas prices, the inflation, and the consumer spending as well too. Even though Babylon is taking shots at their neighboring Edomite nations as well too. That's why the nations drunken off the wine and the wrath of her fornication, which is Babylon the Great. And that's what we're seeing. In Revelations 18:2. Because Babylon is definitely falling economically, in many parts as well too. That great division between the nations and different groups as well too. Revelations 18:2. And he cried with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is falling, and is fallen, and has become a habitation of devils, and every hole of every foul spirit, and a cage and unclean for hateful bird, right? Because we seen the downfall of this place spiritually and economically, definitely economically, like I mentioned before, with the consumer spending, the high inflation, diesel shortages, financially, the housing market, consumer spending, everything is going up, and it's messing the pockets of citizens, American citizens, with the consumer spending going up at an all-time high. First it was 8.7, because a couple of months passed now. Now this the month of November. I believe the consumer spending, it might potentially goes up to like 8.9 or 9.0, but at the current moment right now it's in between the consumer spending of 8.6 or 8.7 or 8.8, and the inflation as at an all-time high, as they still trying to find ways to ease the inflation. But even if it affect the economy as well too, so we definitely seeing signs of modern day Babylon is definitely falling on an economic scale. Even if they do get a new president in, it's still gonna have that great division, and it's still gonna be an economic collapse. So it doesn't matter what president comes in, one on the left hand side or the right hand side. We still seeing clear signs of modern day Babylon is definitely falling economically, in many other categories of ways as well too. It is falling, even though they say it's okay, with the jobs and stuff like that, with the unemployment rate dropping from 3.7 to 3.5, probably even lower than that now, because the new data shows what the jobs data and the unemployment rate, and all that, etc. But you're still gonna have that consumer spending. It's gonna increase. Gas prices are gonna be at an all-time high once again. Not just gonna be effective in the United States, but globally as well too. And that's why these nations point the finger at each other, and they point the finger at Babylon the Great, with the oil prices going up, the gas prices going up. Just like Saudi Arabia, United States took shots at Saudi Arabia because, they was cutting the oil, and the United States had something to say about that. And then Saudi Arabia took a shot back at them. This event happened about 3 weeks ago. So, these nations are mad at the daughter of Babylon. They was drunken off the wine of the wrath of fornication, their philosophies, and following their economic path of alliance and allegiance with Babylon the Great. Now they're separating themselves from that, just like China, India, they're separating themselves from the dollar, even though the United States dollar is strong right now, but when that digital currency comes, it's not going to be, when that paper dollar crashes and there's going to be no more value, that's when that digital currency is coming very soon, especially when Joe Biden made the announcement of December the 13th of a central banking, which that is coming very soon as well too. So we're seeing clear signs of nations pointing fingers at Babylon, even their own allies pointing fingers at Babylon as well too. You know? Salaki about that. I was talking to my brother. So yeah, hey, that shows you once again a clear sign that Babylon the Great is falling. It's definitely economically, with the consumer spending still going up, the cost of living, the gas prices, the inflation. And if you got a good solid unemployment rate dropping and a good solid jobs gain, the stocks and market crash, affecting globally as well too, currently at the moment, but the trend is definitely going to continue, you know. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying for in the news of November the 2nd, 2022 at 3:50 p.m. Central Standard Time on this Wednesday afternoon. So yeah, we're seeing another clear sign of Babylon the Great is falling economically, you know, and we're seeing it. And a potential recession of the economic is falling, crashing, along with the markets crashing as well too. So we're going to see if this trend is definitely going to continue, you know. So with that, once again, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Makar double honors to the elders and apostles of Grand Wisdom, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom in the ball.